Hey, do you want to feel alone while playing a video game? Or, I mean, like, at least more alone than you already are playing the game? Well, we've got you covered today with 20 games that you play where you're the only person alive. Games that really make you feel lonely. In a digital world, of course. Whether it's from story or lore reasons or just vibes, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get started off with number 20. We're going for an obvious one, a pretty easy one. It's the Portal games. While technically you're pretty frequently spoken to by GLaDOS, it kind of feels like somebody is always around you, always talking to you, always getting you to the next area. You're really, at the end of the day, you're completely alone. You're, of course, like the only test subject doing these things in these moments, but really after Portal 2, it's even more lonely because you're pretty much the last test subject alive. It's just you and GLaDOS, and that's it. And it's really lonely because GLaDOS, of course, is just a machine. It's just an artificial intelligence. It's really just you.
To ensure the safe performance of all authorized activities, do not destroy vital testing apparatus.
Next, over at number 19, we have The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. You play as Paul Prospero, and you're looking for a missing child. You explore Red Creek Valley and the surrounding areas, and there's nobody. It's just you. It feels really lonely and really eerie. In a game that isn't an outright horror game, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter manages to feel unsettling in interesting ways. I mean, it also helps that you're a detective, a kind of occult detective, who also can communicate with the dead, so you can kind of see what's going on. This is how you piece together this mystery, but ultimately, you're dealing with a lot of dead people, and it's just you walking around, looking for clues, and trying to piece together a story, something that happened before you were there. It's a low-key game, it's like a detective exploration game, it's all about atmosphere, but they nail the lonely atmosphere here. Next, over at number 18, we have Planet Crafter. This kind of falls into a totally different category because at first it doesn't seem like it makes sense. It's like a spaceman exploration survival game that you can play cooperatively with up to 10 players. You're building stuff, you're surviving. That game doesn't normally feel like it fits on a list where it's like where you're the only person alive. But if you play Planet Crafter solo, it kind of feels like the early days of Minecraft. It's just you out in this endless, lonely place. Remember the early days of Minecraft, there wasn't a lot going on, there weren't towns, it was pretty empty, it was just you, the music, the environments. That's kind of how Planet Crafter is, but you're essentially beautifying a planet. It's all about terraforming survival, so you're kind of bending these worlds to your whim. And while it does feel really lonely, you can make it feel less lonely. Still, if you play this single player, it's like you crash land on a planet and you're the only human. You're really the only humanoid thing, and it's up to you to figure things out. This actually released in April, and really, you don't hear about this one much, but it is massively underrated. Next, over at number 17, we have The Last Guardian. We're making an exception with this one because you're like the only person alive, at least that's what it feels like, but you do have a companion that makes a big presence. It's Trico, this kind of half bird, half dog thing that follows you around and helps you out, the player, who is just a little boy. It feels like you're the only boy in this lonely, desolate world, and it's up to the two of you to survive and get through it. This game was in the works for many, many years. People anticipated it for a long time, and really it's because of the developers. Team Eco, they build incredible, intriguing, and unique worlds that often feel really, really lonely. In this world, at least when I remember playing this, to me it felt like, yes, you were this lonely little boy, but thank God you had Trico by your side to help you out. Even though it was a tricky animal, it was temperamental, there are language barriers, it of course has its own instincts. If it weren't for Trico, you as this little boy, you'd be dead meat out in this lonely world. It is a flawed game for sure. I don't know if it's Team Eco's best game, but it is still worth going back and revisiting if you have the time.
Aratizi, Otetara Lastuzi, Arakastakaru.
Next over at number 16, we have Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. This one is an easy one because everybody's gone in the game. Like, the title is literally the premise. So this is very much a walking simulator. You're really just walking around, checking things out, piecing together a story puzzle, but it is still incredibly atmospheric and does a really good job of not just like presenting an empty game world where there are no people, but actually making it feel like this is a world where suddenly everybody just disappeared. I don't think that's an easy feat, but this game did a good job making you feel that way. This game does have a really good, interesting story that's worth putting together and experiencing for yourself without any spoilers here. But it is a flawed game and a simple game. Maybe not for everybody, so maybe look into some more reviews before you play it. But if you want to experience like an English village that you're the only person left, if you want that kind of feeling, this game will definitely scratch that itch. Next over at number 15, we have Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. This is an interesting one because you play as a person suffering from psychosis. So technically, she has voices in her head, she's always seeing and experiencing other people, other visions, but ultimately, this is a very solitary adventure. You're essentially walking through literal hell while dealing with loss, and while it is steeped in mythology, you really just feel like someone just slowly trekking through a terrible place.
Helheim. There's no doubt about it.
And everything is getting worse and worse. You fight kind of humanoid creatures, but it's really just you. You feel lonely in this game. And again, I say that it's strange because you constantly hear dialogue and voice acting and stuff, but still, Senua's actual journey is a very solitary and lonely one. Next over at number 14, we have Tacoma. This is from the creators of Gone Home, so you should know what you're getting into. It is very much more of a story narrative game than anything, but if you're looking for a game where you feel completely alone, trapped in a space station, this is it. Essentially, you're exploring the Tacoma, trying to figure out what happened to the crew. You're piecing it all together with clues and holograms and recordings and stuff, and it's just got this real good eerie feeling to it. The actual space station they built feels great. A good mix of kind of realistic and sci-fi elements make for something that just feels really, really desolate while also being claustrophobic. Next over at number 13, we have The Pathless. This is from the creators of Abzu, another game that felt like you were pretty much on your own, swimming through the ocean. The Pathless takes a more open world approach, with you being a lone magical archer kind of traveling around at high speeds, trying to rid this world of evil. You're going through some environmental puzzles. There was clearly a society here, something going on, but it's really down to you, your magical bow, and how you quickly and satisfyingly zip around. And you're taking out creatures that are essentially poisoning the land. This is a beautiful world, but it's a bit of a sad, lonely one. With it just being you there, the world still feels gorgeous and interesting enough that you actually care about saving it. You see the harm that things are really causing, and it makes you really want to push through to the end. The Pathless released on PS5 around launch, and during those days, things were pretty hectic, and I think this one was kind of overlooked, but it's available on more platforms, and it is a lot of fun. The traversal alone is worth checking out. Now down at number 12, we have Project Zomboid. This is one of the most underrated and awesome zombie survival sandbox sims out there. And while they are working to add things to the game as of right now, it's pretty lonely. It feels like just you against a zombie apocalypse. Don't be put off by the kind of top-down lo-fi aesthetic here. This game, it's really engaging. There's a ton of great RPG elements, a lot of compelling stuff. But for me, the biggest thing is that it's you against a bunch of shambling, good old-fashioned zombies. Nothing crazy, no weird monsters, just a bunch of slow, creepy zombies everywhere. That type of zombie game sometimes is just what the doctor ordered. Next, over at number 11, we have Near Death. This is a bit of a throwback game at this point. It's from 2016, and it's a first-person survival game, but it's not about like crafting and scrounging for food. No, the focus is just you stuck in this abandoned Antarctic research base. It's an open-ended, completely explorable base and surrounding areas, but you're dealing with Antarctica weather, which is absolutely harsh. There's a dynamic weather system, so the weather can be unpredictable. How thick is the snow, the visibility, the temperatures, everything can quickly kill you, so it's about surviving the weather while also trying to progress and solve puzzles and get through this base. It gets more and more intense, and the game has a real-time temperature simulation. So even though you can take some shelter inside, those rooms are gonna freeze up too. So it's really, really a challenging and brutal survival adventure, but you know, a bit different than what you'd expect. Also, I've buried the lead here, but you're the only person here. So good luck with all that. Next, over at number 10, we have The Witness. The Witness is kind of like the puzzle game to end all puzzle games. It's just you in first person, alone on this mysterious island, and the puzzles are hard as hell. This is one of those games where the puzzles themselves are kind of like a language that you slowly learn and develop over time. It's really intuitive game design, and even if you don't appreciate that stuff, it's just fun to go in, get stumped, take notes, slowly figure things out, and kind of unfurl this game. But all the while you're doing it, you're just alone on this weird, beautiful island. There's not really too much to take in because it's just you and your brain trying to figure all this stuff out. But it really works. Next, over at number 9, we have The Stanley Parable. This is another interesting one because this game is an odd experience. It's not really like a puzzle game. I mean, it kind of is, but it's mostly about going through this weird, strange adventure narrated by somebody. And although similar to Portal, where you're being guided around by this charismatic voice, the actual areas you inhabit feel really alone and desolate. The Stanley Parable, you are like clearly a person, but here you just feel like you're in these weird, strange, empty, liminal places. You get a little existential with it. You know, it kind of reminds me of the Backrooms thing. But even though you feel like you're the only living, breathing thing, this game is full of life, really, in terms of just the humor and creativity and the fact that it just keeps you guessing. I know it's not the best fit on this list, but it's just an awesome game, and it still doesn't get enough recognition to this day, but it is incredibly creative and wildly entertaining, and you should play it.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? none of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it.
Next down at number 8, we have Lifeless Planet. This is an atmospheric but very lo-fi, sci-fi exploration game. Kind of inspired by the Russian space race stuff, you know, like from the Soviet Cold War era. But essentially, you're just a lone astronaut trying to seek life on a distant planet. Without spoiling anything, things get a little weird very quickly, and like you're kind of searching for someone else, but most of this game is you just walking around this lonely planet. You are the only living, breathing thing for what feels like miles and miles and miles and miles. And the game really helps sell this through some great, beautiful environmental design. You're platforming and you're puzzling, but some of it feels like a walking simulator, but it works really well because the areas you walk through have a lot of variation to them, but they all feel massive, and you really feel like one little speck, one little lowly spaceman on a giant rock. Some space games just don't really do too good of a job of nailing this, but Lifeless Planet actually knocks that out of the park. This game is special for that. Some people might find it a little dull, a little quiet, but it's cool, it's creative, and it might surprise you. Next, over at number 7, we have SnowRunner. This is from the long-running series of games. Maybe you played MudRunner, but either way, whichever one, you are just a truck. I mean, like, you're somebody driving a truck, you have something to do, you usually have to pick something up, haul something. But it's about you navigating tough terrain, be it a collapsed bridge, deep woods, a snowy hill, a muddy trail, you name it, it's difficult, and oftentimes you're driving very slowly and very carefully. And interestingly enough, even though you're making deliveries, you're dropping stuff off, you're bringing your vehicle to shops, customizing things, strangely enough, it all kind of still feels like you're the only person alive on this entire planet. There are actually areas that are like little towns, little suburbs, and it's literally just you. It's empty and alone. It's like you're a delivery driver, but you're still making deliveries after the entire world has ended and everybody's vanished. I don't know, but either way, the core gameplay here, the driving mechanics are realistic, challenging, and fun. And because it feels like you're the only person left alive in this game, nobody's helping you. No AAA tow truck to come and pick you up. You actually have to select that tow truck and drive it to yourself. So good luck. Next, over at number 6, we have Myst. This classic PC puzzle game has been remade in Unreal Engine 5 a few years ago. The sequel, Riven, also just got a remake recently, but these games are incredibly special for just how alone they make you feel. Now, I know I already talked about that with another puzzle game like The Witness, but with Myst, there's just something else to it. There's something to the atmosphere here. And yes, in these games, you get FMV sequences where you do see actual characters speaking to you, but the world you traverse in Myst just feels so mysterious and lonely and weirdly isolating. Despite it being so beautiful, there's something so eerie about just how empty it is and how you just wander around fiddling with strange puzzles and reading clues. Obviously, the isolation and no other characters really were like a technical limitation at the time, but in my opinion, it really works in the game's favor. Next, over at number 5, we have The Long Dark. The Long Dark at this point is a legendary survival game. It's really a cut above. It feels more like an adventure than a grind, because essentially it's you stuck out in the wilderness in the middle of winter, and you have to scrounge for resources, fight for food, light fires, fend off wolves, and just survive in a more realistic way. The game can be absolutely brutal, especially with survival mode, which at this point is probably the mode where you really feel the most alone. You really feel like the only living person, just because it is so brutal and challenging. And the way it works is that the game had been in the works and in early access for so many years with a good community behind it. At this point, this mode is time tested, and it feels so isolating and challenging. If you really want to feel like the only living human being in the wilderness for miles and miles, this'll definitely hit you.
I'm gonna bleed out soon. I don't feel so good.
Now coming down to number 4, we have Returnal. This third-person shooter roguelike from 2021 was challenging, but also incredibly unique. It's a third-person shooter, it's action-based, but it was a good blend between like a brutally challenging roguelike and kind of like a shoot-'em-up bullet hell style game with a good mystery at its core. But essentially, you play as this woman astronaut, Celine, who is stranded on an alien planet. It quickly gets way more complicated and complex story-wise. They do some really creative things, but it's just you on this planet, completely alone. Granted, there are hordes and hordes of all different types of weird aliens that you gotta shoot, but in terms of anything humanoid, for a while, it's really just you, and you feel alone. You feel even more alone as the mystery you're trying to uncover gets more and more creepy and kind of trippy. This one, at this point, is absolutely legendary. Now, finally, down at number 3, we have Shadow of the Colossus. Obviously considered one of the all-time greats. This game makes you feel completely alone. You play as a main character with no name who's simply out there trying to resurrect this girl named Mono. You lay her at the altar. The idea is that her soul has left her body and you need to go out and slay giant monsters to bring her back to life. So you hop on your horse and you wander this strange, desolate land that feels like people lived there a long, long time ago, but everything is really long gone. It's really you, your horse, your magical sword, the occasional weird little lizard, and these giant hulking colossi that you have to climb up and figure out how to defeat. But it's those lonely treks, those long, lengthy rides across all different types of landscapes that make you feel like you're the only person alive for miles and miles. And that's the case. You're kind of in this land that is totally cut off and isolated from the outside world. Plus, with the game's whole story really shrouded in mystery for a significant portion of the game, it's honestly kind of creepy with how lonely it feels, but it really, really works. I think this is Team Ico's best game. I know we talked about The Last Guardian on here, but Shadow of the Colossus, if you've never played it for some reason, man, you really should. Down at number 2, we have Subnautica. This is a survival game where the developers really understood quality over quantity. It feels less like a grind and more just experiencing the wonder and terror of being stranded in the ocean. Your ship crash lands in the middle of a body of water and it's up to you to swim down, salvage, craft, and survive in order to live and outwit the elements, the sea itself. And again, most importantly, it's another game where it's just you. You're completely on your own. You have the tools to succeed eventually, but it's a tough go to get there. And now finally, down at number 1, we have Metroid Prime. The recently remastered, re-released version on Switch is actually a Nintendo GameCube classic that really makes you feel like a badass, superpowered space mercenary adventurer, completely and utterly alone on an uncharted planet. A lot of Metroid games, it's just really Samus going on an uncharted planet. She's often very alone, but the Metroid Prime games just do it really, really well. It's the music, the atmosphere, the environments, the way they're built, the kind of dreary but wondrous, adventurous tone to it all. You really feel like this OP badass Buzz Lightyear against weird, mysterious puzzles, creatures, aliens, and it's just you, your wits, and your technology. Space Batman trapped on a lonely planet. It's the perfect pitch for a video game. The Metroid games have been crushing it from the beginning, but like I said, the original Metroid Prime, you feel really alone. By the third Metroid Prime game, they kind of changed that a little bit, but that original game just hits so hard. But those are 20 games where you're the only person alive, games where you feel completely alone, isolated, the lone survivor. There are plenty of other games that we couldn't fit on this list. I know we probably missed some, so let us know in the comments what you think, maybe some of your choices, because we can always do a part 2. But if you like this video and you like talking games with us every day, clicking the like button's all you gotta do. It really helps us out. And if you're new, consider subscribing, maybe hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But either way, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.